This is to help you avoid burnout from a work setting. I'd never learned this way of handling things, right? Whatever your business is set up to do and help, it needs to be doing one of these three things for you. I was very overweight as a kid, and I wasn't very confident. That's what initially got me into the gym. I've got those pain points that I still look back on now and think how far I've come, but it's also something I can relate to. Whenever I complete a task, I just move on to the next one, move on to the next one, move on to the next one. And that was literally my life for like 2 years straight. That's how I changed. And it's been the best thing I've ever done, because you know what? Work hasn't suffered. I'm sorry to tell you, but if millions of people don't know about you, do you really have a brand? Alright guys, welcome back to a different style of video. Now this is to help you avoid burnout from a work setting. Now when I say work, I'm speaking directly to myself, the older version of me that was chasing hundreds of clients online that wanted to grow a successful online service business. I was in the fitness coaching industry, and that's where I'm going to speak from my experience. But if you're in that similar place where you might be growing an online business and you're the entrepreneur, you're the person where you set the rules, you set the tasks, you set the work. If you don't work, the business doesn't work. You're in that position now where you haven't got like an executive team yet, and it purely relies on you to control anyone, even if you've got a small team, or if it's just you, solopreneur, you're doing all the work. Now, that's who I'm speaking to. So if that's not you, you might not take as much from this video, but if that is you, this is definitely going to help you, because I went through the stage about 2 to 3 years ago, and this lasted a good 18 months, maybe close to 2 years, right? And it was the most difficult time, but at the same time I learned a hell of a lot from that experience. I was young, I had a few mentors and everything that I'd spent a lot of money on, but I'd never learned this way of handling things, right? Things were just exploding in a good way from a business perspective, but the tasks were just mounting up. The first thing I want to talk about that's going to carry you through when I talk about burnout, right, in a work setting, when I'm talking about work, the 3 Ps. Now, I've talked about this in another video in a lot more depth. I'm just going to talk about them briefly so you understand them. The 3 Ps are, and I'll write them down. It's, let me do it in green, so it's a different color. You got passion, and bear with me, it's going to make sense. Pain, or problem. And if you hate the way I write, I don't blame you, because I do as well. So passion, pain, problem. Now, your business, whatever you're doing, it can't just be to make money. I don't think that's enough of a reason, right? Unless you come from an extreme pain where you're desperate to make money because of your past. So that kind of does make sense. It doesn't, I suppose it doesn't have to just be, it can't not just be for money. It can just be for money, if that's the case. But you need to be doing whatever business you're doing, whatever your clients you're serving, whatever target audience you're serving, whatever your business is set up to do and help. It needs to be doing one of these 3 things for you, preferably all 3. So it needs to be a passion of yours, ideally. For example, fitness was a massive passion of mine. I lived and breathed for fitness. I was a competitive bodybuilder. Like, my life revolved around the gym. I built a gym, different business altogether. We've now got over 500 active members. So that is like my life, and that is exactly what I lived for. So the passion was definitely there. That helps you carry through the hard times, right? The problem. Are you actually solving a clear problem that the market wants? Because if not, you're going to be fighting and lose a battle from day one. And fitness is an easy example. Again, I'm always going to come back to that because I live and breathe it, and I know it like the back of my hand. People are overweight. It's a clear problem. They don't know how to get in shape. They're not consistent. They're not motivated. They don't have accountability. Like, there's clear problems there that you're solving with your service. They know it. You know it. And there's a clear exchange there of services. And then pain. Is there a pain there? And I'm not just talking about yourself. So I talked about yourself now. Maybe there's a pain to like stoke your fire and give you the boost of motivation to get somewhere. But is there a pain for them as well to take the same action? Because if they haven't got that desperate pain and urgency, it's going to be very hard for you to scale, or it's going to be more difficult for you to scale compared to someone that is absolutely desperate to get someone sorted. I mean, a weird example of this is recently, my grandfather's passed away. We needed a funeral service to obviously take care of that, right? That is an example of, we need something now desperately. It's a service at the end of the day. It's a business model to them, right? as strange as it sounds, not many people probably think of it like the way I do. But that business model itself, they know that you need something right now. It's not a case of you're going to probably be shopping around to different funeral services. If they are speaking with you, they're pretty much going to close the deal of taking care of you. And they know that you're not going to wait until the time is right or anything like that. They need it now. You need it sorted. So yeah, that's an example of like a clear pain that we as the customer in that scenario would be feeling. So have you got that in your own business as well? But this also, on your side, like I said about the money thing, if you are just chasing money because of your background, then maybe that is a clear pain that's going to be a driver for you. But what else could be a pain? Like my past, I was very overweight as a kid, and I wasn't very confident. That's what initially got me into the gym. I've got those pain points that I still look back on now and think how far I've come, but it's also something I can relate to with other people that I work to. So I've got all three pretty much when I'm looking at my service, what I provide, what we do with PB Academy. We've grown it to a team of coaches now, by the way, and a full sales system is also integrated with the gym. It's like, yeah, it's pretty cool. So we've done pretty well over the last 10 years, but that's just my experience, right? And I've had all three of them to carry me through when times were very tough, because the mission I was fighting for, the vision, which a lot of people, as you grow a company, as you grow a team, this will have to be translated into the mission so that you can really showcase that with your team and get your team fighting for the same thing as well. But that's the first thing. So a little short one, ticking the box. The next one is going to be the one that's been the biggest game changer for me. The last one is going to be a big eye opener probably for you, right? So the second one is just one task, and what I mean is one task per day. And I know this is going to sound strange, but talking of strange, where I saw this, it's not where I had the idea from, because I was already doing it by this point, but recently, this is, when's this, 19th of January, 2026, about a week or two ago. I don't know if you follow Stranger Things, whether you do or don't, it doesn't matter, but I got into it probably over the last 3 months before the last season came out, and just watched everything. So yeah, fully caught up to date with me and Beth, my girlfriend, and yeah, we really enjoyed it. But now we've watched the documentary, and in the documentary they showed the behind the scenes, and obviously a lot of people are unhappy with the ending, but I won't talk about that. They showed the behind the scenes, and what I found really interesting was they were following the same protocol, right? So the director had a calendar, and on the calendar, they didn't have hundreds of tasks every day of what they needed to do. They had one sticky note on each day, and it was just film scene, like this scene. It could be like, I don't know, film house scene, film this scene, film the desert scene. So it was like, it was very broad of a task, like it was a bit of an umbrella task, so it wasn't very specific, but it was the overall goal. It was like the outcome of what that task, we have to do that today, and then we have to do this one tomorrow, and then we have to tick this box. Otherwise, you know you're behind. So if you've got a schedule, or you've got a deadline to aim for, you know you're behind. And the reason I'm saying this to you right now is because you probably know that this is what life was like for me anyway, right? I use my phone, my notes, my iPhone to-do list I've got on my notes, and it's always got stuff in it. It's never ending, because the moment I have another thing crop up, whether it's from the staff, the team telling me something, I know I need to fix something. Usually it's stuff that's breaking, needs to be fixed, or new ideas, new things coming up. Always stuff on there, right? And I've got it days in advance. I've usually got like 3 days in advance, things I move to that day, depending on how urgent it is. Now, what I do have, however, in bold, in capital letters always, is one key task I have to do that day. And the rest of them, I don't care then if I don't do them that day. So that doesn't mean, like, let's just compare it to like meals. You still eat your other meals. You still have to do like the non-negotiables, the micro tasks. So like you eat your breakfast, lunch, dinner, you train, you still do your cardio, like all the things you have to do anyway. Those are like expected to be done. They're not insanely important, but they are essential. They're part of your day-to-day, so they need to be done regardless. So they shouldn't really be taking space up on the most important part of your notes. For me, it was just one clear thing. For example, today I've got to finish the welcome pack for our gym service, where we're launching a new semi-private service, right? That, for me, I have to finish that today. I have to finalize that today. If I don't get anything else done now, it doesn't matter to me. Whereas if you rewind 2 to 3 years, when I was like really focused on just like work, skill, no time for family, work literally 16, 18 hours a day, and just time for sleep and just maybe time to train. At some points I was even skipping my training at that point, which is crazy for me. Because whenever I complete a task, I just move on to the next one, move on to the next one, move on to the next one. And that was literally my life for like 2 years straight. Like, move on to the next task, move on to the next task. The problem with that is I did in the end get completely burnt out. And I never thought that would happen to me, because I thought I was just this like machine that could just keep going forever, and I'm going to beat everyone. I'm going to outcompete. And it's made me realize that I can't live like that forever. And plus, that's no way to live. That's not the way I want to live. What am I chasing? Because if that's going to be the ongoing, continuous reality, I don't want it. And I came to that conclusion. I don't want that life. I really don't. Like, I was looking up to people like Elon Musk, like Jeff Bezos and stuff, and you know, the insane entrepreneurs of our time and our generation. And I've come to realize I don't want to be like that. And not that I could anyway. Like, the same as Arnold Schwarzenegger said. I don't know if you've heard this, but he was showing off his arms one day, and someone said, "Oh, I'd hate to be that big." And then he said, "Don't worry, you never will." Like, you have to be some kind of person to actually really want that and go ahead with it. And it made me realize that's not actually what I want. I don't want that extreme. If that's what my life has to look like, where I probably will never see my family, and if I have a family when I'm older and have kids, I will never probably be around much. Like, I don't want that. I really don't. So yeah, it made me realize. And anyway, rewinding it all back, how I actually came to solve this problem was I'd set tasks out properly. Like, I was forced to do it because I was managing other people, managing a team now within our company. And I realized, right, I'll just treat myself the same way. I'll give myself a deadline for a certain outcome or result, overall launch of like an ad campaign, organic campaign, whatever it is. These are the deadline. Let's work everything back. And then day by day, I have to do this today, right? I have to write the top of funnel ad scripts today. If I have to do those three, as long as I do those three, I don't care what else I do. If I'm feeling like I want to work, I'll keep working. But if not, I will be happy and I will be content and I will reward myself and I will maybe take time off. I'll maybe go see my grandparents. Like, that's how I changed. And it's been the best thing I've ever done, because do you know what? Work hasn't suffered. Work has not suffered. So we've still been able to grow. We've still been able to perform, because nothing truly changes. The reality is, you don't move that much faster when you just keep working, because the quality eventually suffers. Your performance eventually suffers. So in the long term, when you look at the long term, yes, short term, you probably get more done. But over the long term, I honestly don't believe you do. Yeah, and it's made me realize as well, if you really want to like grow a company, it's people at the end of the day. So it's not about how much you can do, it's about how much you can get everyone to do and perform together. And if you treat everyone like that, which I did initially, they will quickly go. Like, not many people can hack that level of work ethic. So I had to change the way I viewed everything, and I came to this conclusion of like, set one clear big task per day. Like, has to be done today, very important. A lot of, you know, energy, thinking work, creative work that has to go into it, whatever it is, or building work, just getting your head down and just building, whatever it is, one task per day. Like, everything else, like I said, is a byproduct, is maybe the essentials like eating. And when I'm comparing to lunch, I'm just talking about the micro tasks. Yeah. So like, it could be like getting back to emails, getting back to messages every couple of hours, whatever it is. Those things have to be done regardless, okay? The last one is task to outcome. And what I'm going to say here is, when I say task to outcome, I try to minimize the amount of pointless tasks I do now, right? Now, this is something that when you're starting off, you actually don't know what a pointless task is, okay? So a pointless task to me is anything, as the CEO anyway, as the founder, whatever you want to call yourself, the entrepreneur. If you're owning the business, technically self-employed maybe if you haven't got employees, but if you're owning the business, if it does not contribute to any of these three, so we'll do 1, 2, 3. If it doesn't contribute to traffic, yeah, leads, sales, and then in red, I'm going to do client delivery. And I'll tell you why I do it in red, right? Client delivery, and put Dell. The reason that's red, and I call it a red task, is because technically it does not move the business forward, right? So I know this is going to sound crazy, but you serving your clients technically doesn't move the business forward. It doesn't grow the business. Only in terms of you actually producing great results. But realistically, for most businesses out there, if you look at like an accountancy, any sort of wealth management business, most of them can have people that are fully trained in those roles of delivery that are able to just look after the client, make sure they're having a great time, like a client success manager, anything like that. Look after them, make sure they're having a great time, make sure they're getting the results they want and servicing them well, right? In the fitness coaching space, the problem is, realistically, you're going to need to be the coach, right? I'll talk about this in a different video, but I'm just going to keep it short and sweet. So you're going to need to be the coach. You're going to need to deliver the results as well. But it's kind of a red task. It's not really going to move the business forward that much. So you don't want to be wasting all of your time doing this, thinking you're working hard, because it's not realistically going to grow the business, right? Now, these green tasks are going to grow the business. So if you're working on traffic, and this could be ad campaigns, it could be organic ad campaigns, it could be lining up a promotional month of content, it could be just any sort of email campaigns you're writing, stuff like that. That's gonna engage in traffic, right? Then you've got the leads, right? Probably should have talked about emails and leads. So this is going to nurture your audience. So once you've got your audience, whether it's through lead magnets, whatever it is, I'm going to try not to go into too much depth, but what I'm trying to say is, if it doesn't contribute, if whatever task you've got doesn't contribute, and you can't confidently say, right, this is gonna, if I do this task, it's going to result in more traffic. If I do this task, it's going to result in more leads. If I do this task, it's going to result in sales. If I do this task, it's because I have to service the clientele that I'm working with. If it doesn't do any of those things, realistically, do you need to do it, right? If it's like changing up your logo because you want a better brand, I'm sorry to tell you, but if millions of people don't know about you, do you really have a brand? Like, that's another topic again, but you probably really don't like me right now because I'm just going off on a tangent all the time. But I was obsessed with brand when I first started, because I think we have this idea of like, we want the perfect brand, and we look up to Nike and all the big corporation companies and Apple and everything. Realistically, if you're a service, you are your brand, right? So you representing yourself is what people buy into. So changing up a fancy logo, people probably don't care. They really don't. They don't probably care about the font you use. They probably don't care about the colors you use. Now, I do still like to think about those things, of course, and I like to get them right, because you want your things to look good, right? Because you're not doing things half-assed. However, if you're struggling to get leads, if you're struggling to get sales, you're not nowhere near where you are. If you're thinking, right, I'll redo my logo, I'll redo the branding on my welcome pack, or I'll redo the branding on my emails and the way that looks, I'll spice that up. Like, they're pointless tasks. But going back to what I'd said about pointless tasks, you probably don't know what is a pointless task and what isn't a pointless task. But a quick lesson I can give you, if you're early on, is just trying to put a task with an outcome. If I do this, is it going to give me more traffic? Is it going to give me more sales? If not, if you can't confidently say, yes, it is going to give me more sales, then probably not worth your time right now, right? Easy one thing I want to finish with is, if you're at the early stages, let's say you're at the different levels of business, right? In terms of an online service business, if you're at like 10 to 15 clients, you just need more traffic. You probably do, right? You get to the next level, you've created more demand with more traffic, then it's all about leads. Next stage is all about leads, and then at that point, when you've got a lot of traffic, a lot of leads, you probably need to increase your close rate, you need to get better at sales. So then, funnily enough, once you've done all those things, client delivery is the thing you want to tweak and improve lastly. So once you've built up a really great demand, your content's good, you're converting them well, you're nurturing them well into leads, then you're nurturing those leads into actual sales, and you're selling them well, then it's all about making sure your service is getting fantastic results, and that's when the momentum and the snowball starts to build of referrals coming in as well, which is just the cherry on top to an already great sales channel that you got here. So I hope this makes sense. I hope this is going to help you avoid burnout, because realistically, burnout only really comes from just drowning yourself in a ton of tasks and fighting to do something you're not really passionate about, isn't solving a problem for you, and also isn't a real pain point in your life, so you're just doing it to try and make money. If you're not doing all those things right, and you're not just following the one task a day method. It's only a matter of time before eventually you realize you're on this never-ending hamster wheel of tasks to be done, fires to put out, and eventually it's going to get to you. So yeah, that's my opinion anyway. If you want to grow and scale a service business online, I hope you subscribe. It will help me out because there's probably 10 people watching this right now. And if you are one of them, make sure you give it a like and a comment maybe, and I will engage with you. So thank you, and I'll see you soon.